We are now at our last, but not, speaker. John Katz, US EPA, big funding opportunities for zero waste and environmental justice projects. John is the manager of the zero waste section of the Land, Chemicals, and Redevelopment Division at EPA Region 9. His group implements grants and innovative programs in the areas of pollution prevention, zero waste, sustainable materials management, and tribal solid waste. He has worked at EPA for more than 25 years in programs focused on business sustainability, chemical policy, national and international standards, environmentally preferable purchasing, and voluntary programs. Welcome, John.
Thank you.
So that blue button.
Thanks, everybody. It's great to be here. This is my first NCRA. So I want to also say a shout out to my colleague, Timothy Hood, who many of you know, who's been here many times. She'd be mad at me because I didn't wear my reusable name tag that she had written on a leaf from her yard. I just felt bad. It had shriveled up after about 6 months, but I could have brought it. But anyway, it's great to be here, really excited. I've got a million slides. I won't show them all, or I won't talk about every word on them. But also, you did hear, I have it on good authority, you won't get your free drink ticket till you stay till the end. So I don't want to see anybody heading for the doorway. So big environmental, there's a lot we can talk about. This has been such an inspiring afternoon. It was great to see people I've known and meet some new people. But I'm going to talk about money, which is what we have to offer right at the moment. There's just been, there have been a couple of congressional activities, the Inflation Reduction Act and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law that gave us unprecedented funding for solid waste and sustainable materials management and pollution prevention. And a lot of that money is going out the door as we speak, but I think even more importantly is there's a commitment by this administration to making sure that that funding serves communities that typically have been underserved. And part of that is the Justice 40 initiative, which means at least 40% of the overall benefits and investments from this precedent-setting legislation is for specific programs to disadvantaged communities. And what that means in the context of environmental justice at EPA, I'm not going to read all of that, but it's really to make sure that the benefits of a clean environment, the benefits of a sustainable economy are available to everybody. So the funding and the investments we're putting out there are to underserved or overburdened communities and making sure that everybody has equitable access to healthy, sustainable, and a resilient environment. So we're really committed to that, and you'll see as I move forward that where we're putting that into action. Really, we've tried to make the connection here between materials, waste, climate, and environmental justice. For instance, our sustainable waste infrastructure for recycling, that's a mouthful, SWIFR, sustainable waste infrastructure for solid waste infrastructure for recycling, SWIFR. You'd think I'd know that by now. It called out specifically, approximately half of global greenhouse gas emissions are the result of natural resource extraction and processing for materials. So that's our work. And mismanaged waste has compound health, economic, and undesirable social conditions in historically underserved and overburdened communities. So even in the program guidance for this funding opportunity, we acknowledged right off the bat that we can do better and we need to do better and make sure that the benefits of that are shared equally. So I'm happy to report from the first round, and I'll talk a little bit about where some of this funding went to, over 75% of the SWIFR grants projects that were selected in this first round went to projects benefiting disadvantaged communities. So, yeah. We overshot by 34%, which is great. What that has been, there were three components of the SWIFR grants. There was a there was an allocation to states and territories. Cal Recycle got one. They were looking at a zero waste plan and integrating the needs of rural communities in the statewide zero waste planning and doing some real extra deep dives into the needs and particular conditions for rural communities trying to achieve zero waste, which I think is awesome. There was another piece that was for communities, and we've given out 2 grants for the communities in our region. One is the City of Ontario, and then also Hilo, Hawaii has a really cool, innovative reuse, citywide reuse for serviceware for restaurants, which I'll talk about in a second. And then we also have a competitive program for tribes who want to build up their recycling infrastructure. And we've selected those. We're in the process of awarding them, including our regional administrator was just up at Shingle Springs announcing that they're going to be expanding their recycling operation for all and being able to manage all of the recyclables from the reservation and their tribal businesses on site and building that infrastructure, which is great. And then the other part of it, there are those 3 parts, and then we also had a separate recycling education and outreach grant program. That first round has gone out, and there were a couple of grants that are national, community composting outreach and education, school curriculums on sustainable alternatives to single-use plastics, food waste audits and composting at schools in disadvantaged communities. So all kinds of cool stuff. You can look on our website. Those grants are going out, and hopefully we'll start to see results of them very soon. I did want to point out, I was really just so enthusiastic about all of the great reuse opportunities people are talking about. We were lucky enough to award 2 grants to the University of Hawaii Sea Grant Program under our Pollution Prevention Grant Program, as well as a Swiffer Community Grant to the County of Hawaii, which is the Big Island, Hawaii, for a reusable, citywide reusable program in Hilo, and that's part of a 4-city pilot project across the country that you may have heard of that's being run by, organized by Perpetual. Chattanooga is one of them, Hilo is one of them, and then there are several others. But the great thing about it in Hilo is that obviously, resources on an island are a challenge to get them there, and it's a challenge to get them off of there. And so, finding recycling markets for even recyclable materials is a real challenge. So they're looking at what's a sustainable solution. And as somebody mentioned, I think earlier in one of the presentations, it's amazing where there isn't washing infrastructure. One of the things they're using this grant for is actually a dishwasher, a commercial dishwasher, to be able to do a community scale reusable project, which you'd think, oh, everybody has dishwashers, but not always the case. So that's pretty cool. And the companion grant with the pollution prevention program is actually going to be doing more of the culturally relevant outreach and education to both businesses and the community. It's a very diverse community as well, and it's not as heavily touristed as some other parts of Hawaii. So they have a lot of residents and a lot of also people with ties to Native Hawaiians. So they want to really make sure that they are making that whole program relevant to that area. So that's a very cool one. We're hoping that we'll be able to report out good results on that soon. But that's only part of it. So those Swiffer grants, those are great, but at the same time, some of you, I don't know, how many of you have been engaged at all in the climate action grant planning program? Anybody? No? I'm sorry, I'll back up a second. This is for our community change grants. These are for climate action planning, but it's geared towards organizations and communities that are working with community-based organizations to really deal with climate justice. It's a big amount of money. They're large grants. Just encourage you to get engaged in them right away. You have to partner up, a partnership between a community-based nonprofit organization and either a tribe, a local government, or an institution of higher learning. It's a rolling admissions. Unlike many of our grants, this one is really pretty amazing. And so just encourage you, if you're looking to do climate action on a community scale, focused on environmental justice, this is one to look at. Just another part of our environmental justice program has a new program that's just rolling out now, and what they're doing is realizing it's really hard to apply for federal grants, especially small communities, community-based organizations, tribes. So what they've done is they've given out 11 grants to grant makers who will have a much more streamlined process to get access to federal funding for environmental justice work at the local level, including solid waste and sustainable materials management, solid waste, circular economy work is all eligible for these grants. So again, keep an eye out for this. This will be great because it'll be, we don't know exactly what form it will be, but it certainly won't be a 25-page or 70-page notice of funding opportunity from the federal government. It'll be much more easier to access. And then this is the one I meant, was the climate pollution reduction grants. This is one where we gave out money to all the states and then to a number of municipal areas, including the Bay Area, and then I think LA, San Diego. And these were the areas that basically said, we'll give you a first round of money to do climate action planning, and then they'll open it up based on those plans for implementation. And we were lucky to have waste and materials management as being a key part of those grants. So we're now at a part where that's a very busy slide. I won't read it to you, but we're through the initial planning part, and then the implementation parts will be coming up very soon. So if you haven't been, get engaged, go look. Links are all in the presentation, and you'll know where to find them. That's it.
All right, we have time for one question for John. Who wants to ask him questions? Okay, Neil, is he going to be our last? Monica? Oh, okay.
Thank you for funding the zero waste plan at CalRecycle. It's there's a draft plan due July 1st, 2024. It's a $2 million deal, and not too many people know about this draft plan. It's only 3.5 months away, so great work on that. And I do a lot of work with carbon farming, and it was 10 times oversubscribed. So as part of the natural working lands slide you had up there, there was a great section on natural working lands and carbon farming. I believe those are going to be awarded in the fall, or do you have a time frame? It was part of the March 1st plan from Cal EPA to federal EPA, but when will these awards be funded?
Are you talking about the climate pollution reduction grant? So they'll be, there's a preliminary plan.
March 1, it was submitted.
Which is March 1. So then they'll come in, my understanding is that they'll make a decision this summer. They want to award them this year, which means by the end of the federal fiscal year, which is the end of September. So.
Thank you for the zero waste plan.
Thank you so much, John. All right. Okay, before you leave, if we still have speakers here, if they could come to the stage so we can take a group photo of speakers.
Yes.
And then, I'm not seeing the last word.
I'll say the last words. I've got the last words, which I think that Todd's bringing it up. So we already had our green drinks conversation. You got John Katz's email, which it makes sense that we wanted to make certain that you figured out how to get money, which is what the whole point of he was here to figure out how to get money into your hands. So you've got his email address. Then Zero Waste Week in Sacramento, Yolo County compost facility tour. Thank you, Nana Ama, that it's not just a landfill, it's a compost facility too. She really wanted me to know that. So on slide number 3, I think. There's the green drinks, and then slide number 4. Scan that if you want to sign up to go to the tour of Sacramento Yolo County Landfill Compost Facility Tour. And then the last one is the future of zero waste, and so scan that. And then you'll be with all the cool kids when I go buy you a drink. See you in a minute.